Imagine arriving at the gate with a confirmed ticket, a seat number, and your boarding pass ready, only to hear that the aircraft is full. Not delayed, not cancelled, full. The airline may have sold more tickets than there are seats on the plane. That sounds like an accounting error, but it usually isn't an error at all. It is a calculated bet, made thousands of times across an airline's network, a bet that some passengers will never appear. And, most of the time, the airline wins. An aircraft seat is a strange product. The moment the door closes, every empty seat becomes worthless. It cannot be stored, returned to a warehouse, or sold tomorrow. The airline still pays for the aircraft, crew, fuel, airport charges, maintenance, and most of the journey, whether seat 14A contains a passenger or nothing but air. So airlines study a problem that appears on almost every route. People with reservations do not always travel. Some oversleep, some miss a connection, some change their plans at the last minute. Business passengers may hold flexible tickets. Other travelers cancel so close to departure that there is no realistic chance to resell the seat. In airline language, these passengers become no-shows. A United States Government Accountability Office report cited academic research suggesting that no-shows can average roughly 10% of final pre-departure bookings, although the number varies enormously by flight. That variation is the entire game. Consider a simplified example. An airline has an aircraft with 180 seats. Its data suggests that, on this particular route and departure time, about 8 booked passengers usually fail to travel. If the airline sells exactly 180 tickets, it may depart with only 172 people. Instead, it might accept 186 bookings. If 6 or more passengers fail to appear, everyone who arrives can still fly and the aircraft leaves closer to full. But if only 5 passengers fail to appear, 181 people are now competing for 180 seats. The airline has transformed an empty seat problem into a passenger problem. Airlines do not normally choose the extra number at random. Revenue management systems examine historical patterns and flight-specific factors. A Tuesday morning business route may behave differently from a Saturday flight to a holiday destination. The last flight of the day may be treated differently because travelers have fewer alternatives and may be more determined to show up. Connecting passengers, ticket restrictions, seasonality, and previous booking behavior can all affect the forecast. Every booking is therefore part ticket and part probability. The calculation balances 2 possible costs. Sell too few tickets, and empty seats leave money on the ground. Sell too many, and the airline may have to compensate travelers, find replacement flights, provide care, and absorb reputational damage. The ideal result is not simply the highest number of bookings, it is the number most likely to produce a full aircraft without leaving anyone behind. There is another reason airlines defend the practice. Revenue management specialists interviewed by the Government Accountability Office said that banning overbooking could cause some airlines to offer fewer discounted tickets and might slightly increase average fares. Their argument is simple. If airlines must accept the financial risk of every no-show, they will try to recover that cost somewhere else. But forecasting people is never perfect. Weather changes. Meetings end early. A connecting flight arrives when the model expected it to be late. A group that usually has several no-shows arrives together. Sometimes an airline substitutes a smaller aircraft. Sometimes seats are needed to reposition crew members. Suddenly, the gate has more confirmed passengers than usable seats. This is when the familiar airport auction begins. In the United States, an airline facing an oversold flight must first ask for volunteers before denying boarding involuntarily. The opening offer might be a voucher and a seat on a later flight. If nobody accepts, the amount may rise. The gate agent is effectively discovering the price at which someone values arriving later. The offers can sound generous because voluntary deals give the airline control. One passenger who accepts compensation may prevent a forced denial, a formal payment obligation, and an angry confrontation. The statistics show how rarely the worst outcome occurs. During October through December of 2025, major reporting United States Airlines boarded more than 212 million passengers. Just over 52,000 passengers voluntarily gave up confirmed space, while 4,705 were denied boarding involuntarily. That was about 0.22 involuntary denials for every 10,000 passengers boarded. In other words, the system creates dramatic stories, but the prediction and volunteer process absorbs most oversales before they become forced bumping. If there are not enough volunteers, the airline applies its boarding priority rules. According to the United States Department of Transportation, those rules may consider factors such as check-in time, fare paid, or frequent flyer status. They cannot lawfully discriminate using characteristics such as race or ethnicity. This is why checking in late can matter even when you have a confirmed reservation. A ticket confirms a place in the airline's booking system, but the contract of carriage and applicable law determine what happens when the number of confirmed travellers exceeds the number of available seats. There are important protections. For flights departing from a United States airport, eligible passengers who are involuntarily denied boarding because of an oversale may receive compensation based on their one-way fare and the delay in reaching their destination. Under the limits published by the Department of Transportation in 2026, qualifying shorter delays can produce compensation equal to 200% of the one-way fare, capped at $1,075. Longer qualifying delays can produce 400%, capped at $2,150. The exact result depends on the journey and circumstances. If alternative transport gets the passenger to the destination within an hour of the original arrival time, no denied boarding compensation may be owed under the United States rule. Different protections apply in other jurisdictions, including the United Kingdom and European Union. And not every refusal to carry a passenger is legally an oversale. Aircraft changes, weight restrictions, safety issues, and disruptive behavior can fall under different rules. There is one especially useful distinction. Volunteering is a negotiation. Before accepting an offer, a passenger can ask whether the replacement booking is confirmed or only standby. They can ask whether compensation is cash or a voucher when it expires, whether it has blackout dates, and whether the airline will provide meals, a hotel, or transport if the next flight is the following day. The first offer is not necessarily the final offer. If you do not want to volunteer, check in before the airline's deadline and arrive at the gate on time. In the United States, once an airline has accepted or scanned your boarding pass and allowed you to board, it generally cannot remove you simply to solve an oversale, although safety, security, health, and unlawful behavior remain exceptions. It is also worth remembering that not every airline deliberately overbooks. Some sell only as many reservations as there are seats. Even those carriers can still face a seat shortage if an aircraft is replaced by a smaller one or an operational requirement changes the cabin. So why do airlines sell more seats than they have? Because they are not really selling the same physical chair twice. They are selling access to a flight while pricing the probability that every reservation will be used. An empty seat disappears in value the second the aircraft departs. Overbooking is the airline's attempt to make that disappearing inventory reach zero. Usually, the mathematics is invisible. The plane fills, the door closes, and nobody knows that more tickets once existed than seats. But when every passenger appears,